Good afternoon. I'm Naima Latif with the Media Connection TV, reporting live for On Air News. And we have an expose we'd like to expose a scam. And if you are considering moving or relocating, you need to definitely take notes and pay attention. There is a company that has taken the belongings of unsuspecting consumers, taken them across country, and then held them hostage, demanding more money from the consumers or else threatening to sell their belongings. How is this possible? Well, we've got some of their unsuspecting victims, and we want to give them an opportunity to tell what happened and also to alert not only other consumers, but also the legal officials, the attorney general, the state's attorneys, the mayors, the governors, everybody who needs to stop this scam. So, with me now is Andrew Calhoun and Jody Susan Calhoun, recently having moved their things and are now trying to stop this extortion attempt. And we also have on our live line Catherine Dizotel, who's also another victim of the moving scam. So thank you all and welcome to the show. We appreciate you for going public with this situation. So, Jody, can you give us a synopsis of what happened?
Certainly. And first of all, I just want to say thank you so very much for airing this concern. People are at stake, everything they've ever earned in their entire life. And, you hire some movers, they come in, they pack half, not all, half of your belongings because they bring the wrong size truck, right? They bring half the size of the truck that you actually need for your move. This has been a repeated behavior that these movers, do. So they bring in half the size of the truck, they take half of your belongings, they take it away and they store it elsewhere. And they give you a quote ahead of time for what that's going to be. And so when they come back the next day, and keep in mind, they've done a visual inspection, right? They say,
Mhm.
by the way, it's going to be double. So our price tag went from like 9,900 and change to 21,419 in less than like 12 hours,
Now, is that
right?
after they had taken your things?
After they took our things.
Oh, that's pretty. Now, before we go any further, give us the names because we want to make sure everybody knows who did this. Give us the names of the companies involved.
Yeah, so we have so there's New Leaf Moving and Storage, and actually, what I am going to do is bring it up and show you on the screen. We have New Leaf Moving Group, actually, to be accurate, and they are the brokers out of South Florida. And then we have Regions, which for I'm in Georgia, Andrew and I are in Georgia, and Regions Relocations is the moving company, Regions Relocations Incorporated, and they are actually out of Tucker, Georgia. So, and it's interesting. They had indicated to us originally that they took our belongings, right, and brought them where they leased the truck from, which was New Jersey. We only found out when they threatened to auction our items. They're going to auction our items, is what they told us at the end of this month. All of our belongings, and then I saw the email address. It's a new email address, and now that's coming from Tucker, Georgia. So it's a organized crime, because when Catherine starts to share what's happening with her and what I've learned from others, this is happening in Wisconsin, this is happening in Indiana, this is happening in Colorado, this is happening all over the place.
And these are the companies involved. So it is basically a cross country organized
Organized
crime.
crime.
That's what it seems to be. So
Yeah.
now you all left Illinois and now you're
Yes.
in Georgia.
Georgia. We're in
And
Georgia.
when this company took your things, and how when did they say they were going to deliver them to you when you first made the agreement?
So the agreement, which I can bring up, which by the way, it's a bill of lading that doesn't have their name on the bill of lading. It's never been signed. So it's a non-binding document. Non-binding. It's not signed. And they
So
said they
you
would get it to us in 17 days.
so do you have a personal name of either the driver or the person who was supposed to physically be responsible for exporting the things to?
Yeah, I have his name and his phone number because we were texting back and forth. I have pictures of the trucks. We know exactly which truck they brought because even though it didn't have a license plate on it, it did have the DOT number on it. So I traced the DOT back to New Jersey, got the exact truck, know the exact dimensions, and we know that the dimensions that they stated the truck was, it is not.
So of course we're going to bring all of that on screen. And this is critical that we inform consumers, because what tends to happen is that when things like this happen, people always think it's only them. And so they may not feel the strength to actually protest or go to authorities. So we want
Well,
to make
let's
sure.
talk about going to the authorities. So I reported it to the BBB. I reported it to the Attorney General. I reported it to the Lake County police, right?
Hmm.
Nobody wants to do anything. I mean, they'll all take the report. There's 81 claims as of the end of last year, just on New Leaf alone for that year. 81 claims, 81 complaints,
And they've never been
closed
prosecuted
down.
by the attorney general or the state's attorneys or anybody.
They don't actually prosecute. That's the misnomer. So, like the government, they're not there to prosecute. You actually then, after you, if like God forbid, which we're not going to do this, we're not spending $21,000 to get our belongings back. But if we wanted to, we'd have to pay them, and then we'd have to hire an attorney, spend thousands of dollars more to for what? I mean, they're criminals. You can't negotiate with a criminal. So at some point, the police need to step in. And the police are saying this is a civil matter, and it's not civil. There's no contract. It's not binding. It's not signed. So they came in and stole our belongings.
So is
I
there
was told by them they are not allowed. The next guy that came to my house said, "I will not load your belongings because that is illegal. I just want more money before I will load anything."
so Catherine, give
Say
us
this
your
again? Yeah,
so Catherine,
Catherine,
give
go
us
for
your
that.
synopsis of what happened? Where did you move from, and where did you move to, and when did they demand more money than what they originally uh,
Well,
gave as
I
a
had
price?
two incidents. I had two incidents. One with New Leaf Moving Group, Sean, and we went over the agreement. He made me cut my stuff virtually in half. Told me I was only allowed to take less than 1,300 cubic feet. That's all they would take, for the money. And he had me do an ACH. Never, ever do an ACH out of your bank. You have no recourse.
So in other words,
stressed.
you transferred money to him before he even moved the items. You sent him cash, basically. Is that how it worked?
Yes. They required a down payment. Now, within 24 hours, because I usually research everything, but I was so stressed. I had 30 days to find a new house, to move. So within 24 hours, I had started doing research that day, and I was panicked, like so many other people that are on our Facebook page for New Leaf Movers, what they've done to us all. And so I, of course, called them and emailed them. But of course, the girl I was dealing with went on maternity leave early, conveniently, and there was no email, there was no information, right? So I was in the wrong automatically. Because that's what they do. They lie to you and they make you think you're crazy. But I threw the next people that also took my money, who swore they were not brokers, because I would not. Capital City Movers, also out of Florida. I they swore to me that they were not brokers, and they were brokers. And again, I gave them money. But the people that came out with them that tried to extort me shared a secret piece of information because he felt sorry for me. He said they will block off part of the truck. They will put a blockade up so that you cannot see it, so that you don't have enough room in that truck. And that's when they say, you need more room, you have too much stuff. So it's a trick. They have many tricks in their book. And then when I wouldn't pay the money, they stole stuff out of my yard that was ready to move. So there's a lot of tricks of this trade that we have not uncovered. But Florida seems to be the worst of the worst for the laws that allow them to be crooks. I was also told this by a business owner in Florida. That is why we do business here. We get away with everything.
Wow. In
Wow.
Florida, with everything, is that wow. So
Wow.
it seems like what they target are people who are moving under stress so that you don't have time to really think things through. You got to hurry up and get out of where you're going. So how did you?
You're trusting them with everything you have, and you're trusting these people are conning you and bringing you in. And of course, they're answering all your questions. They're lying to you. They're swearing to you. They're not brokers. The second one, I said, the only reason I'm going with you is because you're promising me. And supposedly these conversations are taped. And then they send a man in a U-Haul truck, which I could have.
Yes. Right, Catherine? Right, Catherine? So they bring you this short truck.
At 6 p.m., a girl under 5 foot, these two people they got off of Craigslist were going to move me for 3 hours, a 3-bedroom house belongings. Oh my God. I said, absolutely no way. You come back in the morning. And then they came back and they stole from me because I wouldn't pay the extortion money.
Wow.
It's crazy. I almost had a nervous breakdown over this episode. I'm sure many people can concur with what this does to you stress-wise.
So, Catherine, you still don't have your things. Where are your things now?
Okay, my story is a little bit different. I freaked out on the second one because you don't bring people from Craigslist to my house after dark. You want to load my 3-bedroom house in 3 hours with no supplies. Even though I was packed, they were supposed to bring, supplies to protect your belongings. Because it's a white glove move. Remember, you have been sold this book of dreams. So
it's a fantasy, right? It's a fantasy.
I would not let them take my belongings. So I have lost over $7,000 by these two broker movers. And then I found a local company in Phoenix, Arizona, and they saved me. They were legit. They were not brokers. They had great BBB ratings. You have to do your homework. It's imperative or you will lose everything you own.
Wow.
Well, so let's talk about that for a moment, shall we, Catherine? The places that you can check are the Better Business Bureau, the Attorney General's, and then there's that FSCMA? Hold on, FSCMA, which stands for Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration. And when you go to that location, the Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, and the acronym is FMCSA.dot.gov. When you go there, they will tell you what you should be looking at relative to your move so that you can be making informed choices, which is, by the way, the title of my story.
Moving people's websites are full of corrupt, false witness statements, reviews. Also, there's a guy on there, and I'm going to say it, Moving Buddha, who's supposed to know who's good and who's bad, has some of these people recommended on his site. So people are not being vetted. You cannot believe the reviews on site that are
Okay.
not like the BBB or, you know, these true organizations that have had complaints or good reviews or people that you know that have not had problems. You cannot trust these sites saying who the great movers are because they are not. It is false. It is false reviews, false statements. I don't know how they get away with that.
So you're saying basically people can fabricate on a website reviews. They can just type them themselves. They could actually make up things and put it on a website. So looking at the website where reviews are posted isn't any guarantee that you're actually getting a legitimate company. Is that what you're saying, Catherine?
That is how I fell victim. I believed it. And then I started thinking, wait a minute, you know, that inner thing in your gut. And I said, wait a minute. And when I started checking the BBB and other critical sites, oh, I was floored. I was devastated. And when nobody called me back, I followed up with them. Oh no, you're out of time. You know, they give you 2 days to back out of the contract. You could have a catastrophe, a death, anything, and you are without your money.
So because you
Mhm.
pay the cash, you can't get it back because it's cash.
Right.
Right,
Oh.
and you can only work cash. They will only take cash.
Exactly. But no, if you say I don't have the cash, some people did get their credit card deposits back with a fight through their credit card because my bank said, well, we need forewarning of 2 to 3 days to get your money back before you do the transaction. And I'm like, how does that happen?
Wow. So
Well,
that's
what do you mean? Can you clarify that? Can you clarify? So they're saying the credit card company is saying you need 2 to 3 days, or the movers?
Bank, the bank. If you do
The
an
bank.
ACH, you are SOL. Never,
I know.
ever. You have no.
to an ACH or an SOL. Okay, it's in a nutshell. So
Andrew, what's your take on this? Andrew, what parts do you want to fill in that I have not shared and Catherine has not shared yet? Unmute
because
yourself, though.
of course you all left Illinois and were expecting your things to be there when you got there or be there the day after you got there. What was the original expectation?
No, the movers told us there was a minimum amount of time they needed, which was about 2 weeks. We knew we were going to be needing time to find a house, so we figured there was free storage, 1 month of free storage. We utilized that and get our house sometime between 1 to 2 months after we arrived in Georgia. That was our plan, but then they notified us that as Jody shared, that the belongings went to New Jersey. They may have been in Georgia. We're not sure where they are. The problem is that there's no accountability, there's no enforcement, and that's really troubling. So the bottom line is you should find a trusted mover who's not a broker, who is like a family-owned or an established company. I've used them in the past. I've used some in the past. Should have gone to the same company, but I didn't. I decided to trust reviews online, which were false, as Catherine said.
Okay. So we've got another caller on the line.
Okay.
Give us your name, where you're calling from.
Hi, this is Lindsay Williams. I'm calling from Denver, Colorado.
Yes, Lindsay from Denver, Colorado.
Yes, how's it going?
Excellent, excellent. So, Lindsay, give us your thoughts. Have you had an experience in moving?
I sure have. I've had quite the experience. My family and I moved from Atlanta, Georgia, out to Denver, Colorado this past summer. And we hired New Leaf Moving Group kind of at the last minute. We were moving relatively quickly and they had availability. So we hired New Leaf. They gave us an estimate, and the company that they hired actually was inactive and illegally operating through the DOT. They did not have an active DOT license. And when the mover showed up, he showed up one guy to move our 4,000 square foot house. and he showed up in an Enterprise rented truck full of someone else's belongings that was unlocked. So their items were totally visible, sitting open all day. And my husband had to take him to rent a U-Haul truck. And he came back. He hired a couple guys off Facebook Marketplace. They moved our things over 26 hours into storage, five miles from our house, because they didn't have a semi to move our things to Colorado. And luckily, because they didn't have enough labor, my husband helped them move. He did all the lifting and moving all the way to the storage unit. So we knew where our storage units were. And we knew what numbers they were. We knew the facility. So we went ahead and I went ahead and left Atlanta, and my husband stayed there in Atlanta with them. And when we went to leave, they charged us, I think it was $7,000 more in cash, that money order that we were required to pay to the carrier.
Wow.
So immediately we called New Leaf and said, this is not right. This was not our estimate. They're doing additional charges for a shuttle when really they just didn't bring a truck. This is not right. We couldn't get a hold of New Leaf. It took 3 hours to even get a hold of them. My husband stood there with this carrier just for hours while we were trying to figure this all out. And New Leaf said, you won't have those costs on the back end. You're just paying them up front in case you need them.
Oh yeah, right. We got that line too. No cost on the back end. We'll work it out, right? Yeah.
Right. So our deposit to New Leaf was $8,000, and we paid $10,800 in cash to this carrier.
Oh wow!
And they then said we had to pay $10,800 when they delivered our things in Colorado. So that's a $30,000 move, which is absolutely ridiculous. So we drive out to Colorado. We're trying to get a hold of New Leaf for 2 weeks. We tried to get a hold of New Leaf to schedule our move date because our things were gonna be in storage for 2 weeks, and then we could move into our house. By the time we got a hold of them, they could not get in touch with our carrier. Our carrier had disappeared, and so our things are in storage in Atlanta. New Leaf tried to schedule another carrier, but the original carrier would not relinquish our things because they still wanted their second half of this. They wanted their other $10,800, and they're a criminal operation run by some sort of Ukrainian mobster in Chicago, and they couldn't get access. New Leaf could not get access to our things because they hired an illegal carrier. And so they reassigned a new carrier who tried to get access, went down and sat there for 5 hours at our storage unit, never got our things. We called the police, I called the attorney, and between the Atlanta police and our attorney, the Atlanta police gave him a deadline for New Leaf to relinquish our things to us. They did not meet the deadline, and the Atlanta police confiscated our belongings. I flew down, and they gave us access. We cut the locks off the storage unit, and we took our things and self-moved with a couple college kids that we knew out to Colorado. And I've been pursuing New Leaf ever since, trying to get my original $10,800 back because they didn't move us. They could not move us. They didn't move us. And their customer service team was condescending, disrespectful, the worst people I've ever dealt with in my life. And this has seriously impacted our life long term. We both have experienced PTSD. My husband and I, from this experience, ruined our entire summer. We have 2 little kids. We were basically, without a settled home for 2 months because we couldn't get our belongings. And New Leaf continually lied to us. They said our things were scheduled to be delivered. I asked for the carrier information, which is with the U.S. code. They have to follow the law to give us our belongings, to say who's going to be the DOT number of who's going to be carrying our things. They wouldn't give it to me. And, I've helped other people, capture back their belongings using the police and some other tactics that we've had to use over the last couple months. And it's just been an absolute nightmare.
Wow. Well, one thing I'm hearing, though, that the Atlanta police did do something, which is a key thing. You do have to have police who will respond. So
that's more. So Naima, that's much better than the Lake County, Illinois police.
Yes.
They didn't touch it.
Who just said this is a civil matter. So Jody, you've got some images of the truck that was used. You want to pull that up and You know, it's
Yeah, so
interesting.
people
with the
can
truck.
see, right?
Absolutely.
So
And
I'm going to bring up a couple pictures of the truck, actually 3, right? So that people can see what we're talking about.
and thank you so much, Lindsay, for your testimony. The
We are so
interesting thing is
grateful
that,
to you.
you know, the interesting thing is that the truck didn't have, well, we'll show it, but the truck, of course, and here it is, for those watching, uh, this is a truck, says Ryder, ever better, big truck. Um,
Right. And
and
so you can see it's not a truck for a 3-bedroom house, 2,600 square feet. Sorry,
yes,
that's not going to cut it. Right,
so
Andrew?
this is a, you know, kind of a, I guess if you're doing major moving, they'd have to have more than two if they were going to move a whole house. But it says rental reservations 1-800 by Ryder, RYDER. So
So
that's the
we
truck.
called that number. So we
Yeah.
called that number to find out the exact cubic feet for this truck. Okay.
Mhm.
And it,
Jo-
the numbers
Jody,
didn't work.
Jody got the numbers off the side of the truck, which is the vehicle identification number.
Jody, you
It's a
want to show
D-
that?
and
Yep.
that way, I mean, it just shows that particular truck, but that way you can track the specific truck back to Ryder. Ryder can say this is the size of the truck, this is who owns it, or who's renting it from us, or who's leasing it from us. So there's no doubt about it. There's no guessing. And when they said they were bringing a certain size truck, they weren't. And as we heard from the other caller, uh, bringing a truck like that late in the afternoon and saying, "Oh gosh, we can't finish it up. We got to come back tomorrow." Then they had half our stuff already gone. There you go. Well, that's part of it. There's that's a DOT number, which is
With
one
critical,
thing,
right?
right?
So
Yeah,
Because
but
even
that's critical. These numbers are the numbers that allowed us to track down the exact size of that truck. And now I'll get to the next one. Go ahead. Sorry.
now is this the truck that was lost somewhere in New Jersey?
Yes.
So, I mean, you know, a GPS will tell you the difference between New Jersey and Georgia. I mean, I don't understand that. But so now both Catherine and Lindsay have had this experience with this company as well. And it seems that it's a cross country kind of operation happening. And now, Jody, you mentioned that there are how many complaints that have been registered with the what is the Better Business Bureau, with the
With
Attorney
the Better
General?
Business Bureau, there's 81 complaints just for last year for 2021. So, and then you can see here. So I think it's really interesting. I can't remember if it was Lindsay who said this or Catherine, but so what they did. So this was really interesting. So here's the back end of the truck, and if you take down New Leaf Moving Group, you'll see that it doesn't even have a license plate on it. If you remove the tag there, so there's no license plate on the truck, people. Okay, I'm taking all these pictures. I didn't even catch it, but of course we were in the middle of a move. Andrew and I are a little stressed.
Yeah.
And then let's do the bill of lading. Oh,
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
else is talking. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'll pick up another image. Go ahead.
Okay, and who is this?
Okay, a broker sells your move and takes a cut. The other money goes to the random moving company who can have an illicit history, a criminal history, whatever. He has to get a DOT number, but he can bring any truck he wants, a U-Haul truck.
Okay.
So he is shorted money, and he can usually only has a license to move goods within the state. So that's why he takes your belongings to wherever, a storage facility, and he says he's waiting on a truck, which you have no idea that he is doing this.
Is this Catherine or Lindsay?
Yeah, it's Catherine. Then he needs more money from you because supposedly he's going to actually find a driver to take your stuff. So all along the way, these people are taking your money, and then they have no money to hire an actual people that a broker sends to you is not even an official mover. It's a random person that has like Alliance Van Lines LLC who came to my house in a U-Haul. He doesn't even have an interstate license to move
Okay.
Else is good.
Okay. Hold on a second. Let me see if and we've got another caller on the line.
Yeah, and then I have the bill of lading that I want to show what
Okay.
people should be looking
Okay.
for.
Oh, okay. There's Lindsay calling back in. Okay. Well, one of the things that we are seeing has to happen. There has to be a response from the attorney general in each state. There has to be, and I don't know, maybe a legal expert can tell us the best way to pursue this. But if you have, like Catherine was just telling us that I believe movers are only licensed, your business is licensed in a certain state. So in order to move across country, I guess they have to connect with another moving company.
Or
But
be
that's where,
registered with the FMSCA
or be
and have
registered
that right or the legality to operate
move
from
across
state
state.
to state. Yeah.
What is FS? What are the initials and what do they stand for again?
So let me pull it up. I'll stop this other screen share and pull up so people can see this site.
Because if they
So
don't have that, they really shouldn't be moving you.
that's right.
The
Right.
FSA, the Federal Motor Carrier Association, and that's who you have to they're a department underneath the Department of Transportation, and they are the ones that, if you have an experience, you should definitely file a claim with them, and then they send a complaint they sent a complaint for me to New Leaf, and then New Leaf has to respond to that complaint. So they've had so many complaints from the FMCSA, I think they're just ignoring them at this point, but there's no retribution for that. However, my illegally operating carrier, was raided by the FMCSA because of their lack of documentation, and still the company continues to operate out of Chicago or Gurnee, Illinois, still moving people's things across state lines, still holding people's things in storage. And it almost feels like even when you put a complaint in, even when they investigate these companies, nothing is happening. Nothing is stopping them.
Nothing is stopping them. That is the problem. Nothing is stopping them. Well, we definitely want to alert people and give them some tips on how to not get scammed. But then we also want to follow up, and we are going to make sure that all the authorities get this program. And we're going to follow up and find out, are there enough people who have been scammed by these companies to even pursue a class action suit? One of the things that has to happen, of course, is that this has to stop. And if New Leaf Moving Group and Region Relocations have been doing this to many different consumers over a period of time, and each person has had to handle it themselves, maybe there is a necessity for a group to come together and sue collectively, because it seems like different states have different responses, different states attorneys, different attorney generals. The Better Business Bureau, the Better Business Bureau can just basically report someone's bad business practices, but they don't pursue lawsuits. So that's what
and that's what people need to understand. You really need to know who you're getting into bed with. Okay. This is not even just for movers, people, right? You need to know who you're doing business with.
Any business,
because it will either lift you up or take you down. I mean, like Lindsay said, her family has PTSD now, right? I get it.
$10,000 cash. I have
PTSD
too. If I can, yes. So, well, first word of warning when doing business: do not ever give cash up front. That's what credit cards, debit cards, checks, that's what other forms of payment are for. And if someone wants cash up front, that should send up a red flag. Also, before any work is done, check your contracts. I don't know, Jody, did you pull up the contracts that they had?
So I did, and I can show you this contract. It's ready to share. Let me move the screen here and share that, because this is important for people to see. Okay, so tell me tell me when we're showing that, and I'll walk you through.
So basically, you
There's
said
no
they had
header
no
here.
header here. So
No header.
this is the top of the
Bill of lading. Your
bill of lading.
interstate household goods bill of lading. And so, and you go here, our original quote was like 9,900. We're now at, they want, if you can see my cursor, 21,419.75. Looks like, according to somebody, I mean, the other people are being charged 30, which is crazy. You can buy a car
all
for that.
furniture with that. It's ridiculous.
All new furniture. Now I want to take a look at this. There's no signature, people. See? No
so where
signature.
it says,
And hold on.
signature.
Look at this. There's squiggly lines.
So what are
All
these
squiggly lines?
What are these supposed to represent? These
Who
lines.
knows? That's their way of saying, well, you had more than what we said. And I know how many dressers we had. We did not have these many dressers. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 dressers, 9, 10, 11. We didn't have 11 dressers.
So this is actually a list of your belongings. That's supposed to be the list of what they were.
Correct. But they just
they even have a refrigerator down here. We didn't move our refrigerator.
Well, first of all, it's illegible. I mean, they wrote this.
Right.
I mean, this is not even legible writing.
And no signature.
No signature.
It's not a binding agreement, which means, people, it's robbery. It's not a civil matter anymore. Okay?
So
not a civil matter. Sorry.
Well, now how did you find them? Were they listed somewhere? How did you find them? Did you look up movers? Because somehow they're able to zero in on people who are kind of in a stressful situation. They need to move right now and don't have a lot of time to really, ponder or compare or anything like that. They somehow think how to do this.
I had time to compare, and I looked at lots of different movers, and they were comparable. Finding them under movers, they have all these fake reviews, and
well, they had good reviews on their site, but they were fake.
Yeah, it wasn't just their site; it was other sites that are fake sites. And what I didn't do is what I've always done in the past. Shame on me, is go to Better Business Bureau. That would be a smart thing. I just didn't do it this time. And it's not that I didn't have time to look. It's once they get started moving, and then they take half your stuff. And so, well, we can bring it back if you don't want us to move anymore. Like, well, we have to leave tomorrow. I mean, I got to be in another state tomorrow. We got to leave tonight. So I can't really bring my stuff back in my house because the house is leased to somebody else tomorrow. That's how they get you.
So
That's exactly right. There's no way to, if you look at their Google reviews, you talk to the guy that does the quotes, everything seems good and they're responsive until it actually goes down and the move happens. And then there's no way to back out because you have to turn over your house or your apartment or whatever it is. So in looking in their Google reviews, that's what I did. I looked on moversadvantage.com.
Is this Lindsay?
But, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yes, so I looked on moversadvantage.com. My husband actually booked it, and then I researched it very quickly. And on moversadvantage.com, what I came to find out later is that companies pay to be advocated on that website. So it's called moversadvantage.com. You think that the movers that are on there are high quality, have received high ratings, or been, have any sort of performance that would warrant that, but really it's just a paid site to promote movers. And if you look at Google right now, the New Leaf Moving Group has a 3.7-star review, but when you go in there and you actually look at them, kind of as part of my PTSD, I became a little obsessive over these reviews. And I started looking through them, and the people that reviewed them positively, if you look at their review history, they've all reviewed the same other company and left all 5-star reviews. And so I started trying to report them through Google. and have gone down that route a bit, and I've seen some of them be removed. Some of them are still there, but the real reviews are horrible. They've ruined people's lives for this time period in their lives, at least. But when you see that there's a 3.7, it's impossible to, how do we get them to have a real, their Facebook page got taken down because they had a one-star review and people were blasting them on Facebook. So they took down their Facebook page, and a new Facebook page was started for them by unhappy consumers who have been in this situation. But there's these things in our society, like reviews, where it can be gamed, and they've gamed the system both here and they're hiding under the radar of the Attorney General and the Department of Transportation. How do we bring that to light and hold these people accountable?
Wow.
So actually, do I have Catherine? Catherine wants to share as well. Do you want me to have her call on my number? Because she has something else that she wants to share. Yeah. So I'll have her call on my number. Go ahead, keep talking. And
but we know one of the things that this is concerning me is the fact that we're unfortunately not seeing the kind of action against this by the Attorney General. And I don't know if that means it has to be a lawsuit has to be initiated by the consumers in order for there to be an action, because reporting it is one thing, but someone has to pursue. And
yeah, I wish there'd be a class action. I mean, a lawyer can make some money. There's hundreds of people out there out of tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's money out there for a lawyer.
Well, I'll definitely put the thought out there. If you are an attorney and you are willing to represent many consumers that have been scammed in this moving process, then of course you can call this number on the screen, 773-366-3615, and we'll put you in touch with the Calhoun family. And we'll also, they'll put you in touch with all the many others who have been victimized by a company promising one thing and not delivering, and then charging you money, and then threatening to sell your things if you don't pay. So
right. And so and the thing is, so that whoever's listening, there's like 24 people, Catherine, in that group. Is that about right?
Sounds right.
Yeah. And so I've got Catherine on the line. Catherine, go ahead and share what you wanted to share. So I piped her in on my phone.
Great.
Well, I just want to share that there are several agencies that investigated interstate theft, and that is the Federal Bureau of Investigation, Office of Enforcement Operations, Department of Homeland Security, DHS, and others. It is a federal crime to transport across state lines or receive stolen property across state lines. So when the police are telling you that there is no crime, it is a federal crime.
So thank you for saying that, because I don't know, forgive me, but I don't know what kind of stupid that I was talking to. Just saying, because they were telling me that it's a civil thing and they can't do anything. I'm like, it's a federal offense. It's as soon as you put a piece of mail, for instance, whenever you put a piece of mail in the mail, right, and it goes from one state to another, it is now a federal offense if that's something, that mail crossed state lines and there was something illegal about it. That's why, what's that, Catherine?
Exactly. Any goods or any harm, done through email, like if you infect somebody's computer, that is, a federal statute. But if your goods are worth at least $5,000, and we know our household is, and you decide to take it across state or international borders, your theft becomes a federal offense. I'm reading the statute.
So is that the one that you sent me a text? Let me see if I can show that up. Hold on.
Yes.
So, all right. So is that the one with the handcuffs? Yeah, that's the one with the handcuffs, right? Okay, so let's do that. So
Because
share
I know
screen.
there's got to be a name for what was done. So she just said, yes, there is. Uh, you're transporting things across the lines. So is
Okay.
this the?
$1,000.
So go ahead. I think I see it goes up, Naeem, when let me try that again. Oh, it's because I have too many up. Hold on.
Yes.
A sentence for interstate transportation of stolen property is a fine or up to 10 years in prison or both.
Well, yeah, we see them wearing orange jumpsuits. I'm just saying. Yeah.
Orange.
I think I got this share now. So try this again.
Especially
Okay.
the families, children, and medical equipment, and medicines, and life-saving things that are with their belongings being transported, cribs, beds for their children, medication, medical equipment. All of that is a board for these families.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm grateful that we knew to bring our medical equipment. The biggest regret for me, my mom has passed, and she did a lot of needlepoint, and so she needlepointed kneelers, those church kneelers. She needlepointed chairs, and so there's sentimental. The rest of the stuff, I mean, it's stuff that can be played, but the bottom line is Andrew earned it. I earned it. And they didn't have a right to take it, period.
And as we hear in the stories that we are sharing on Facebook, they take your items to a warehouse. They open up your boxes. They take, keep, or sell what of those items they choose. They will then vandalize your furniture and bust it to pieces. And if you see it or not, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months, there has been stories. But they do through all of your belongings and take what they want.
Wow.
So I just want to add something to this. I started an email address called newleaflawsuit@gmail.com when I realized this was happening to so many people. And I'm looking back now, I think I have about 50 emails from people between the end of June and now, including 2 here at the end of December, where New Leaf hired a carrier that picked up their belongings, and these people do not have their belongings yet.
Wow.
I worked with a single mom who moved from Wisconsin down to North Carolina, and we were able to get her belongings back using the police. The police pressured the carrier and helped her word some things as well. They would not deliver her things. They were within 5 miles of her house, but they were, just like you explained, in a warehouse with no protection on them. They had taken all the blankets off, the moving blankets off of all of her furniture. They had stacked a bike on top of her TV that was not in a box. So when she finally was able to go to the warehouse with a family member to move her things from the warehouse that was right next to her house to get them back when they finally waived the fee, most of her things were broken. And they'd just been thrown in there and stacked in there because they were angry she wouldn't pay this double amount. So even here, I had not checked this email since Christmas, and I've got 2 people that say, I'm in the middle of a move. I got my things picked up in November, and I still don't have them. New Leaf is telling me they might deliver them in February. Please help me. And I see emails from people like this. There's a woman I was working with who is moving from Louisiana to Texas, and her things ended up in storage in Mississippi. And when she went to get her delivery, it turns out that her carrier had not paid the storage unit fees through New Leaf. And they auctioned off her 4-bedroom, everything from her 4-bedroom house, even though she had paid everything they had asked and was prepared to pay their twice the initial fee. They still auctioned off all her stuff, even though she was going to pay them everything they wanted. Has no idea who they're hiring. And in my case, going back to the class action lawsuit, in the contract, it says that New Leaf will hire a carrier that's in good standing with the DOT. In my case, they didn't, and I have proof of it. My contract, they're in violation. It's a breach of contract. So my case can be a clear-cut part of that class action lawsuit, and I've got 3 or 4 other people that have the same carrier along with New Leaf that are in the exact same boat. So I've got 3 or 4 people that could carry that class action lawsuit with breach of the contract term.
Well, I don't even know that the guy we hired is even legitimately a mover, which means then ours would qualify as well. Lindsay, so are we connected on the Facebook group, you and I? I'm Jody Susan.
I think so, yes. I'm in the Facebook group.
So
Okay,
that group, is that a number of people who have had the same experience? The Facebook
Same or
group?
similar? Yeah.
Jody, if you touched on
We're all in
the
this
fact
group.
that they did not send you a contract, they actually tell you it's a contract and send you a binding estimate, which means nothing.
So no, why don't you go ahead and share about that, Catherine?
Well, upon speaking with them many times, they finally disclosed to me what we sent you. I said, you sent me a binding contract because that is what they told me I was getting. But they sent me a binding estimate, which they say means absolutely nothing. So they're telling you that you're signing this contract, but what they send you is a binding estimate.
Wow.
Well, right. And so I also want to add on to this. So we had the first estimate that was done, early on in the game, then a second estimate, which was done 2 days before the move. And we were still like, it was like $1,000 or maybe $1,500 more. We could swallow that. But the thing is, sorry, I'm having a hard time digesting all the information, so I'm trying to catch my breath. Andrew, why don't you take over for me from
It's
here?
exhausting.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
The thing
I think the story's
ahead.
been told. It's they have a dishonest practice that they've refined very well to know how they can skirt the law and how they can fool people. It's a challenge. The route I'm going to now pursue is looking at the Georgia and the police in where I think the storage facility may be for the people who actually moved our goods, not New Leaf, who made the money. So they make the money. New Leaf makes the money on the front end, as we heard before, and then they contract out with a couple of guys or a person who gets a couple of guys off the street and get the haul, and then they make money on the back end. So our stuff may still be in a storage warehouse, and if we can find that before it's auctioned on the 29th, then we can take action. So I'm gonna start
yeah, and
pursuing
that's
it
a big
well.
push here, right, Andrew? I mean, they're auctioning our things on the 29th of the month.
If you investigate the person that actually moved their stuff,
I have that guy.
if you look at their licensing, like I looked at the guy that I did not allow to take my stuff, his license said he was only allowed to move goods within the state. So if his license is only good for that, people's stuff may very well be close to home.
So now we've got company names, and we've shown the image of the truck, and we've shown the federal law that they've broken. But now I want to hold some individual people responsible, because when people are able to hide behind the anonymity of a company, then they go free. So give me some names of some people that you spoke to on the phone, that made the agreements, that drove the truck. Some people, some individuals that are flesh and blood, that we can say this person participated in this organized crime scheme. So do you have, either of you want to give me some names that we can deal with?
Yeah,
out of
the owner. I believe
his phone number is out of New Jersey.
Well, we got both everybody talking at the same time.
Okay. Well, hold on a second. First, Catherine, and then Lindsay. Hold on, because I want to get yours as well. I'm going to write the names down as you tell them to me so that we can see them. So, Catherine, who was the person you were saying?
Well, the thing is you never get a last name. Usually you can't understand them clearly. They have a phone number cross country, yet they say they're from, let's say, San Diego, California, where this gentleman told me he was from, but he had a New Jersey phone number.
What's the phone number that you were given? What's the phone number?
Capital. Let me see. Capital City Living.
And then what's the name or first name? At least the person that the name they gave you.
57.
Okay, wait a second. Say that again.
Okay. Well, let me give you this one. I have a 972-800-3598, and I think his name was Ali. Of course, no last name. And then I have a 561-639-1106, and he is the extortionist that sent the U-Haul moving van and the guy at night, who promised me my money back and swore he would deliver my goods if I gave him another chance, which I would not.
Mm-hmm. So Ali is the one who did what? Ali is the one who did what? What did he do?
Alliance Van Lines LLC, who says he's out of San Diego.
Ali is out of San Diego?
Mm-hmm.
Well, and I have Maj Al, ALA, and he's at 201-554-9397. And I sent him a text message back and forth on October 29th. And then we have Rebecca Reed. So she's the company for Relocation Management Group, which is the DBA for that's the incorporated name, Relocation Management Group Incorporated. The DBA is New Leaf Moving Group, which is displayed on the screen. And Rebecca Reed, REID, is the owner.
Who says she will give you $200 to remove your bad view about her company.
Right. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so now give me the Rebecca Reed one again.
So she's right on the screen. So if you look on the screen, she's right there. REBECCA, Reed, REID, for the people who are not looking at the screen.
Okay.
And she's the owner of Relocation Management Group.
Owner of a Relocation Management Group. Okay, I see.
So New Leaf Moving Group is actually just the DBA. And for people who don't know what a DBA is, that's the doing business as. So that's their trade name, if you will. But the incorporation, or the one that's held liable, is the Relocation Management Group.
Okay, and do they have a phone number?
So, you know, that's a good question. The relocation, I have the number for New Leaf, which let me get that up. So I think it may
Rebecca Reed, Rebecca Reed is owner of Relocation Management Group, which is the group that is connected with
847. I think 44777.
Now this is Relocation Management Group. And what's that number?
Oh, I've got that one too. 561. It's on here. 842-1918.
And 561-766-0359. And that is Samantha with New Leaf. They pass you between everybody.
Yeah.
So this is the one you have for Rebecca Reed, 561-842-1918. Is that it?
So it is. However, they're not actually going to answer that phone.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like
So I think Lindsay had one that she was going to give us also. Lindsay, with a name.
Yes, I was going to give Rebecca Reed, but the person that I worked with at New Leaf for most of our move was Nicole Ray, and you can through their customer service line at New Leaf. She's apparently the customer service supervisor. I believe Nicole Ray and Rebecca Reed are actually the same person. And then the other piece of that is when I got I did get a partial refund from New Leaf after blasting them for an entire month, and I got it from Purple Heart Moving Group from Christian Kelly, who I believe is also Nicole Ray and Rebecca Reed. She's going by different aliases, talking with her on the phone. She has the same voice. I called her out when Christian Kelly called me. I said, "This is Nicole. You're Nicole. Why are you saying you're from Purple Heart Moving Group?" And she's like, "No, this is Christian from New Leaf." But then I got an email from Purple Heart Moving Group, Kristen Kelly, Kristin Kelly, and Nicole Ray, NICOLERAY.
Okay, so we've got some names, and this is.
They will sit in a warehouse and have 5 different company names when you are trying to get estimates, and they are all the same people.
Wow.
Well, here we have it.
They're scam.
Well, we put it out there, and we're going to send this program to every single law-making entity, states attorneys, attorney generals, U.S. attorney generals, and definitely we want to make sure anyone else who is having this issue.
Well, Naima, I appreciate you sending it to the media as well, because that's one way to really get some publicity out there of people who have had this happen to them and have not come forward, because
Absolutely.
Jody mentioned they think it's their, or you said people think it's just happened to them. Another thing that people have a problem with, they'll say, well, I should have been more careful, and I should have checked the Better Business Bureau, and I should have gone with a local moving company. And so you put the guilt back on yourself, when in fact these are organized criminals. They do it for a living. They steal for a living.
That's it. That's it. So we're going to make sure every media entity across the nation, all the networks, all the publications, all the internet media, everybody is going to know about New Leaf Moving Group and Region Relocations and all those people whose names you've given, so that number one, they're stopped in their tracks because people understand. And number two, I see them wearing orange because this is a federal crime. Now, of course, it's up to the courts, but that is the next step. It does need to be a lawsuit, and that will be the next step for those who have been pushed into this situation where their things are being sold or threatening to be sold. It's time for a lawsuit, because this must end. We're holding people accountable, not just company names, but people accountable for crimes. So we want to thank you all, and thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Lindsay, and thank you, Jody and Andrew, for bringing this forth and helping to save those who are trusting that people who say they're in the moving business are truly in the business.
Well, they're in the business, but they're not in the business of moving. They're in the business of stealing.
There you go. They're in the wrong business, and so we're gonna have to give them the business, so to speak. And
I love you, Naima Latif.
Well, we thank you all so much, and we appreciate your courage, because the only way people get away with doing wrong is when good people do nothing. So we're doing something. So we thank you all. Thank you all for joining us online. And for those who are watching, if you have had this situation, call the number on the screen. We'll connect you to the Calhouns, and they will connect you to the whole group of people that you can join in on a class action lawsuit. And of course, this is, now tell us what this document is with the MSCA, Jody?
So this is just our claim numbers, but it also has the name of New Leaf Moving Group, where they are located in Boynton Beach, their address, their phone number, and their website. And, you know, these are other organizations, the Surface Transportation Board. They may help and work with overcharges, but we really haven't seen anything here. So, and then those other ones are our claim numbers. But the thing is that, look, I'm very persistent, and I'm very persistent.
That's what it's going to take. Persistence.
Well, but I mean, at this point, like we need, I'm just going to put it out there. Like, I'm really going to make the ask. If there's an attorney that catches this and hears it, and you are an attorney, but it's not your gig, and you know another attorney who can help and will, support us, we would be grateful, because we need help. We need to call the FBI. We need to call the FBI as well. Thank you.
We'll definitely send them this link to this show, and we know some top flight lawyers, so we'll even put this out to a couple of law firms that we know. And I believe this is a case that someone knows that they can take and win, because this has gone on too long. So we thank you. And definitely, if you have been a victim or you're an attorney, we're going to ask that you call this number on the screen, 773-366-3615. Call On Air News, and we will connect you to those who need your help. Thanks again. And
thank you.
We'll see you all next time on the Media Connection TV. Thank you, Catherine and Lindsay. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.
Wow, thank you.
Bye. Thank you. I'll call you back.